All right, guys. So this video is for pickupdaily.com, and this is my first video for 2021. And like I shared on my other video for Spider by Venom, this is going to be a horrible year. I think this thing's just going to get worse, which doesn't necessarily mean you have to, not do anything about it, but it just means that expect the worst and do the best you can. So anyway, for normally what I do is, which I actually was told to stop, but I'm just doing it for this video. Eating some dessert. I had my dinner earlier. Did a video with that. But this is just some ice cream and some keto ice cream actually, and a little Vic bar and some nuts. But as far as pickup's concerned, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult, and that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. Difficult in the sense that it's a lot of guys are going to be afraid to have to deal with the new socialism that's taking over if you live in the United States. And that's one of the reasons why I've decided to leave the country. I'm going to move, hopefully within a year from now, I'm going to move to the Netherlands. So, one of the reasons why I'm doing that is because I would love to move back to South America. I used to live in Venezuela, but that country was taken over by socialism. And even though European countries are quasi-socialist, they're not politically divided as much as they are in the United States. The United States is being taken over by a radical leftist ideology that doesn't really care about personal freedoms and that sort of thing. And if I'm going to deal with something like that, I'd rather live in a country where at least the women are hot, and it's not as bad, or it's not thrown as much in my face as is what's happening here in the United States. So, and because now it seems like the United States is okay with election fraud and that sort of thing, that means there's no telling what's how bad it's going to get here. So, but enough about politics. If you're asking, so with the pickup that I can do, what should I be doing? And pretty much, same thing you've always been doing. Just be willing to deal with the hassle of the new street restrictions and all this other silly stuff like curfews and stuff. And maybe you have to wear a mask to get inside a venue or something. But other than that, just do the best you can. One thing I think you don't want to do is buy more products, because I think 2020, and this was my prediction. If you look at my website, look at some of the predictions I made in my earlier video, I said 2020 is going to expose most of the pickup gurus as scam artists. Some of the top and some of the ones you really look up to, some of the ones I look up to. Unfortunately, just out to take your money. And on the one hand, money is the motivation for everything in the world, but it's a scam. if someone's charging you for information that's already free online. Pickup community is now over 20 years old. At least the online community. And there's nothing out there that's new to learn about pickup. Nothing. Most of the information out there is retarded anyways. So why would you pay anybody? I don't care how good they are. Why would you pay anybody for a product to give you information about pickup? It makes no sense. So if anything in 2021, you should, in my opinion, you should avoid buying any products. It's just not worth it. It's silly. It's retarded. And what you need to focus on instead are the basics. The basics of pickup are real simple. Not that complicated. You don't have to be high value and all that silly nonsense. Watch my channel. I teach the basics, just the basics. All the other fancy nonsense is, you can find that online too for free. You don't need to buy a product, but it's not necessary. Want consistent results. Any artist, any sports figure will tell you just stick to the basics. Craft, just master the basics. Master the basics. You don't need a product. You don't need. The only thing you might need is coaching, because you want to make sure you're doing the basics right. But that's one-on-one coaching. That's not a product. Where you learn all a bunch of stupid, goofy tricks you're too afraid to do anyways. That's the only thing you might want to pay for. Coaching. But even then, you have the balls. Just coach yourself. Might take a little longer, but nothing wrong with that. Think about all the money you could save. You're going to run a boot camp or something like that. You just learn to coach yourself. Because again, you're just doing the basics. So, let's talk about the basics. Basics are real simple. You're following my channel. You're following my website. It's about compliance testing. So here are the basics. You see a girl, you go talk to her, you approach. First thing out of your mouth, you should be in the habit of asking a closed-ended leading question. It's just simple. It's simple for you, it's easy for her. You go in asking an open-ended leading question or any other question other than a closed-ended leading question, you're setting yourself up for a blowout. Now, you might get rejected anyways. It might be a blowout anyways. But, again, we're trying to get compliance first from the girl. Once you have compliance, which just means she answers your question, yes or no. Excuse me. Now you got something to work with. Now you can move the interaction forward. But first, get that basic down. It's just basic. Ask a yes or no question. I don't care what it is. My recommendation is not make a question be a compliance test that's too high for her to pass. I say something silly like, hey, do you want to go back to my place and get it popping? Yeah, that's a yes or no question, but what girl's going to comply to that? When she just first met you, it's not going to happen. So, you can ask a simple question like, hey, are you from Florida? I'm from New York? Yes or no questions like that are very easy. Just requires the girl to say yes or no.
If she ignores you, you might ask her again. You know, more likely, you didn't master another basic, which is you didn't get close enough to the girl before you open up your mouth. You want to make sure that the girl acknowledges you some kind of way. You know, whether she looks your way or glances at you or tries to figure out who the hell you are. You know, believe it or not, that is a compliance test. So before you open your mouth, get her attention, and then ask her a yes or no question. Hey, are you from Florida? You from New York? She says yes or no, doesn't matter. You got compliance. So the next thing comes out of your mouth is we're still on approach now. We're still on approach. Next thing comes out of your mouth is, oh, really? Where are you from? Master, she says no. She says, yeah, I'm from here. Oh, cool. High five. Now you're already touching the girl. Even if the girl says no, you can high five her. Because still, it's a compliance that you pass. So, but the conversation started. Now you know whether or not she's from here. Then you can start asking her open-ended leading questions. Like, oh, really? Where are you from? Oh, really? How come I've never seen you before? You know, in case she says, yeah, I am from here. That's your approach. Second thing you want to do after you get the approach out the way is isolate her away from her friends. But first, you make sure you've already introduced yourself to your friends. You know? So after you introduce yourself to your friends, how old is your friends? That's another yes or no question. Introduce yourself, and then immediately be humble. Practice humility. How do you do that? This is the basic now. Use self-deprecating humor to be humble. So, an example would be, oh, cool. Yeah, I was just walking around here and I saw you. I thought you looked really nice, but I didn't know if I looked good enough for you to talk to me. Or I didn't think I had a chance to talk to you because I'm mentally retarded. And usually what happens is a girl will give you a chance because she sees that you're humble. You know, you're confident, but at the same time, you're humble. It's just a winning combination. It's a basic. And it also lets her know that you're interested in her, which is very important. Because when you approach strangers, when you approach girls out in the street, or at the beach, or in a nightclub or something, you know, it's good to let them know why you approached them. And the reason why is because it takes confidence. You know, the girl wants to know that you have the balls to not hide behind some fluffy conversation, some small talk about, you know, or Starbucks or some silly nonsense like that. Be able to tell her, you know, that you're interested. So you can indirectly, not indirectly, but you're actually directly telling her that you like her. Excuse me, which is the reason why you approached her. So that's That's number two. That's basic number two. At, considering that you introduce yourself to her friends and all that stuff already. You can even say to her friends, "Oh, you got a really hot friend over here. I just saw her. I just wanted to talk to her. I don't know. I was thinking maybe you guys might not even let me because I look basically mentally retarded." And you'd be surprised how the girl's like, "Oh no, go ahead, talk to her. She's cool." Because they can tell that you don't care. Just by that, they can tell that three things. They can tell that you're humble, you don't care, and you're interested in her. Once you get that out the way, now you have permission to do, at least a mini isolation. You can say, "Hey, you mind if I talk to your friend just for a second?" Or you can even ask the girl, say, "Hey, you think your friends mind if I talk to you for a second?" She says, "Yeah, great." Kind of turn her back towards her friends or kind of step 5 feet away from her friends and start rewarding her compliance with compliments. You can repeat the same compliment you just gave, but at the same time, you want to high five, shake her hand, try to hold on her hand as much as you can. So she becomes sexually aroused, which is more important than, high value alpha male nonsense. Because these are the basics. Your sexual arousal matters way more than attraction. Attraction is basically retarded compared to sexual arousal. So that's why you want to be constantly high-fiving for no reason, touching the girl, holding her hand, that sort of thing. Just make sure you're still, even when you're not touching her, you make sure you're still as close as you can, where your bodies are kind of every now and then brushing up against each other. You want her to feel your touch, because every time she does, it stimulates her arousal. It's just sexually stimulating. That's just human nature. That's got nothing to do with attraction. It's got nothing to do with evolution or psychology or none of that silly nonsense. It's just human nature. Anytime you're close to another person, even if you don't want to be close to that person, you're being stimulated. And so you can test to see how much the other person, wants to allow that. But you never know unless you do it, unless you test it, unless you touch. So after you mini isolate the girl and you reward her with compliments and that sort of thing, then you need to start. And then if you want, you can start telling stories and stuff like that, but that's really not necessary. You need to keep that momentum going by leading her around into full isolation. So maybe you can say, "Hey, let's go grab a coffee," or "Hey, do you think your friends mind if I take you for a coffee real quick?" Or you mind if let's go to the bar, or let's sit down over here. And now you got full isolation. And when you go there, when you get into full isolation, now you can do silly stuff like comfort building and all that. But I really don't recommend that because it's not necessary. What you want to be doing when you're in full isolation is escalate even more with the physical touch, physical escalation. Get it to go to where your arm is constantly around her, you're hugging her, you're kissing her, that sort of thing. And that's going well. Then now you need to start setting logistics for the pool. You need to say, "Hey, you want to get out of here, or you want to go back to my place, or something like that, or you want to go take a walk, or something like that, to where you can, you actually go for the pool. And because now that you got all this compliance test building, and you did the basics, you mastered the basics, now she's pretty much invested. She's pretty much going to say, yeah, sure. Even this is where a lot of times guys, because they don't do it this way, they get a lot of objections. You'll see that you'll have less objections because you've already done the difficult work. You already done all the compliance testing and all the leading and the pulling and that sort of thing before you actually pull her back to your place. So once you get that, compliance test passed, and then you say, okay, cool. You let her friends know, you tell her, hey, text your friends. Boom, let's get out of here. And you're off to see the wizard. So those are the basics. Don't need a book. Don't need a product. You really don't even need a coach, to be honest. You can just practice those 7 basic things I mentioned, and I haven't mentioned on my website. You just master those 7 basic things. You can add a little bit to it. Make some more intense, some steps more intense. Like you can go to the dirty talk while you're in full isolation, that sort of thing. Or you can get very physical. But the key is that you want to strike when the iron is hot. So, don't be doing all this sexual arousal and then there's no outlet. If she's giving you indications early on that, she has a boyfriend, or that, she's hesitant about, going home with you, or she's maybe got other things to do, then you just want to temper that sexual arousal. You want to give it to her every now and then. Keep it low key. Don't get too crazy with it. And then, at least go for the phone number or something like that, where you maybe could meet her at a different time or something. But, you want to make sure that that escalation ladder is going up, not going down, not staying the same, steadily going up. And eventually you want to try to strike when the iron's hot, because no matter what, arousal, it comes and goes. It's the most important thing, but again, if there's no outlet for it, it just fades away, disappears, and you may never have another chance with the girl. So that's why you have to do enough. Try to buy as much time as you can to get the job done. So that way she lets go of any excuses, or does whatever it takes to make things happen. Because that's how powerful sexual arousal is. That feeling of sexual arousal overrides everything. It's not the logical nonsense that most guys thinks it is. Like attraction. Attraction is logical. Sexual arousal is not. Remember that. Sexual arousal is not logical. It's all feeling. And it's more powerful than attraction. Attraction is logical. Attraction says, well, he's cute, and I think my friends think he's cute too, so I might as well make him my boyfriend or be with him or whatever. It could work. That logic, don't get me wrong, logic works, obviously, but it's not anywhere near as powerful as sexual arousal. Sexual arousal is king. And if you create the opportunities through compliance testing to sexually arouse a girl, you don't need to be attractive. You don't need to be the best version of yourself. You don't need to be high value and all that silly nonsense. You don't need any of that. You don't need to buy a product. You don't need muscles. You don't need money. You don't need any of that garbage. You just need a chance to sexually arouse a girl. I mean, you literally could be a snake in the grass or a dog or something. I mean, I don't want to go gross, but I mean, you could literally be anything to a hot girl and have an opportunity to sexually arouse, and it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. So focus on that. Don't focus on, attraction, because most likely you're not that attractive. You're most likely you look pretty retarded. Okay. I mean, I hate to say it, but like if you're average and you don't have a lot of money, or you make average income or something like that, you're not that attractive. I don't care, even if you got muscles, even if you go to the gym, knock it out all every day, all day in the gym, to most of these hot girls, you're still butt ugly. I mean, you're not. I mean, you look like garbage. I mean, let's just be honest. So why pretend to be attractive? Why? You don't need it, right? You just need to sexually arouse. Get that opportunity to sexually arouse. Get that chance to isolate the girl away from her friends and sexually arouse, touch her. Yeah, that's all you need. Those are the basics. All that other silly high value nonsense is retarded. That requires a book. That requires a product to learn how to be all that silly stuff. And even then, it probably won't work, because you're going to be scared to death that it's not going to work. And girls can see right through it. They can tell you still look like garbage. You're still pretending to be somebody you're not. And I'm not interested. That's what a girl normally thinks about. I don't care how actualized and optimized you maximize you made yourself. It's just, you still look like garbage. Let's just be real. You look retarded. So, anyways, those are the basics. Chew on that for 2021. Make a plan, to do the best you can. And for me, that's moving out of the country. You might want to think about doing something like that yourself. And feel better for doing it, instead of just sitting there doing nothing and crying about it. So anyways, that's it for pickupdaily.com. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not going to promise I'm going to be regular with this kind of stuff, but I'll try. I'll do my best and see what happens. All right. So take care. Keep taking action.